Right now, joining me in studio is Mike from Vine. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
It's good to have you here, man.
Thank you. It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. Well, we caught up recently, but it's good to see you again. And for those who are listening right now, back in the day, you may remember this band called Ben Zephyr.
Yeah.
And before that was Vine. It's you. You're the lead singer for both those bands. It was the same band, more or less.
Yeah, it was.
But tell us what's been going on with you. I mean, it's just so weird, for Chris and I, that we just celebrated 16 years of broadcasting on PowerFM because it seems like, we just started it.
Right.
2 years go by and 3 years go by and back in the early days.
Well, I remember when it opened.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. Let's just talk about the early years and how you found out about us and became a part of what we were doing here. Matt Mungle had you guys on Spin 180.
Yeah, all those old programs, Spin 180. There was Power Mix.
In fact, the rest of this hour, no music news coming up. We're just going to blow up the rest of the lunch hour. This is Spin 180 revisited. Spin 180 2015.
Late 90s. Here we go. But no, I think that we met you guys through our old manager. Her name was Michelle Escobedo.
Yeah.
And you guys were just really supportive of local music back then, and we were fortunate enough to get interviewed up here many, many times. And we just had that album with called Pieces of Time with Tyrant on it, and Mad World and Agape, and you guys played the heck out of those songs, and Vine became pretty well known.
If you can keep your headphones, let's try and switch you over to that other mic, because I hear this weird Darth Vader kind of weird thing going on. And so,
all right.
Let's see how
better. It sounds better in my headsets.
Yeah, there you go. You got the good headphones. I don't know why that mic, it has this weird, like you're from outer space kind of thing. Or
there's a new Star Wars movie coming out, so Darth Vader kind of makes sense.
Okay. No, so I remember, way back in the day, we had one of our very first fundraising concert.
Mm-hmm.
And, we didn't have any big names like Flyleaf or Switchfoot or anything. We just had a lot of the local bands that we were playing said, we're going to play all day long. Right. And people were so excited about this new radio station that we had fans that were coming and going. It was, it was like a 8 to 10 hour thing, and people were coming and going all day. Mm-hmm. And you guys played, man. And I'll always remember that.
Yeah. So that was what we were talking about a little while ago with the people chanting for Tyrant and want us to get to that song. It's funny. Whenever you guys first opened, we dropped off a Pieces of Time CD to you guys, and then we never really followed up. We figured you guys were starting a radio station, and we weren't going to call and say, hey, will you play our song, and when are you going to play it, or anything like that. So we dropped off the CD, and we never followed up. And then we did a show at the Plano Convention Center probably a month or so later, and the show went fantastic for us. We were opening for a national band, and we couldn't really figure out why people were into our show so much, because we were still relatively unknown back then. And when we got off stage, we went backstage, and we were kind of toweling off because we were all sweaty and stuff. And our manager, Michelle, she came backstage and said, hey, you guys need to come out to the merchandise table. And we said, we're going to watch the headliner from the side of the stage. We'll be out there in a few minutes. And she said, no, you guys need to come out here right now. And, at the show, there were hundreds and hundreds of people. It was probably the biggest show we'd played to date at that point. And we walked out to the merchandise table, and I'm not kidding, the whole place was waiting to visit with us and buy our CD. And we sat there throughout the entire headliner, signing autographs and visiting with people. And we were all dumbfounded. We thought, well, why in the world is this happening right now? And why aren't they out there watching the headliner? And then, as everything was starting to die down, I started talking with this young girl, and she said, hey, why didn't you guys play Tyrant? And I looked at her, and I said, how did you know about Tyrant? She goes, well, I heard it on the radio. And I just stared at her, and I was trying to figure out what she was talking about. And I said, you heard it on the radio? And she said, yeah, 89.7. I said, 89.7 Power FM? She said, yeah, they play it all the time. I had no idea. All the time. And so I just looked at her and I looked around the room and everything kind of started making sense to me that, oh, wow, the power of radio. And these people were here to see Vine play Tyrant, and we didn't play it. And so I
still came to buy the CD.
You know, right? So I immediately found our drummer, Mike Haley. I tracked him down. I said, man, we got to put Tyrant in the set list. He's like, yeah, I know they're playing it on the radio. So he had obviously just had the same conversation with someone else. So from that point on, we played Tyrant, and it was such a blessing, you know, to hear people singing the song back to us at shows. You know, had many conversations with a lot of special people at shows. It kind of felt like that song it spoke to a lot of people. You know, and I wasn't anticipating that.
Now, after a while of being Vine, you guys changed the name of the band.
Yeah, we had to.
Zephyr.
We
so
had to.
Tell us about, why that happened for people who may have never heard and what went down with that.
Okay, so we, after we did the album Pieces of Time, we started working with a producer named Sam Taylor. And for those of you that don't know who he is, if you'd ever heard of a band called King's X, he was their producer and manager. He also produced a Third Day album. You know, he's a guy that just is great at what he does. And so we met him, and he was producing an album for us, and we were in the studio, and we were in mix down of the album. We'd already recorded all the songs, and Sam was in the studio mixing it down. And our bass player, David, walked in, and he said, hey, there's a band, they're number 11 on the charts right now, and they're called The Vines. And I said, what? And he said, they're called The Vines. He goes, but I guess that's okay because they're plural and we're singular, Vine. And I thought about it for a few seconds, and I said, okay, I've got the Vine CD out in my car. What did I just tell you? And he went, oh, that's a problem. I said, yeah. And I knew at that point that we were up against something tough, because if a band is number 11 on the charts, that means they've got a record company behind them. They obviously have a hit song or a hit album. But the one thing that we had in our favor is that we owned the trademark on the name. And over the next year, there was a legal battle. And it was really tough. It was, you know, it just, when people that have been in legal battles, they know that when you're in one, it's exhausting. And I was in the middle of one for a little over 12 months. And the result of that was we wound up changing our name. It would have been just too much to overcome to, you know, try to get a band that was already famous to change their name. It just wasn't going to happen. So we changed our name, and we decided to go with the name Ben Zephyr. And it was the same lineup of guys that released the last Vine album. You know, everyone went over to Ben Zephyr, and you know, we kind of went in a different direction.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and play something from Ben Zephyr.
Okay.
And it's so funny, we have Mike from Ben Zephyr here. And it's so funny because every time we meet certain artists, not every lead vocalist, but it seems like the lead vocalists who kind of project the hardest and are like, you know, out there the most vocally are usually the most soft-spoken.
Oh, am I soft-spoken?
And it's like, that's the way it is right now. I'm like, I'm having to back off my mic a whole lot so I don't blow you away. Now, listen to him sing, though. Here's Ben Zephyr. This is Soulfly on PowerFM. That is Ben Zephyr. Soulfly on 89.7 Power FM, and Mike, the lead singer, is right here in studio with me. Mike, it's good to hear that old school rock and roll, man.
God, you know, I haven't heard that song in I don't know how many years.
Right.
I just, you know.
You don't listen to your stuff?
No. I guess I listen to it a lot when I'm recording it. Right. And maybe shortly after it gets released. But there's something about recording an album. I'm sure a lot of artists will tell you, when you get done recording the album, you're almost tired of hearing the album. You know. So, yeah, I haven't heard that in a long time, and I guess I probably haven't performed that song in, 7 or 8 years.
Well, what happened? Tell us what happened to Ben Zephyr, because we played a little bit of your music, and then we no longer saw you on the bulletin board announcing where you guys were playing. You guys just kind of faded off into the distance.
Yeah, so in Ben Zephyr, we made a conscious decision to, instead of being a Christian rock band, we decided we would be a band of Christians. And you know, before Vine, I was in bands that were in the bar scene, and so, you know, when we changed our name, we went back to the bar scene. And, it's tough. The bar scene is tough. We did it for many years. And I guess what's tough about it is, when you're in a Christian band, you're surrounding yourself with Christians, and Christian environments, I think, is really key to emphasize here. And then when you are a Christian band, or I should say a band of Christians, and you're going into the bar scene, you're not surrounding yourself with a Christian environment. And it's easy to slip. It's easy to start drinking. It's easy to not be the strong influence that you were hoping you were going to be. Mm-hmm. And Ben Zephyr, we did some great things. Gosh, we traveled constantly. We had good shows. We were on many TV programs. Sam showcased us here in Denton, Texas, to record companies. He showcased us in New York City. And we really thought some things were going to happen, but I guess it was about 6 months or so after our New York showcase, we just stopped. We had a meeting one day, and our guitar player, Chris, who I'm still in touch with, he's a wonderful, wonderful person. He just said, "Hey, this isn't really the direction I want to go in." Or he said something like that, and he said, "But if you guys want to keep going, I'll stick with you until you find a new guitar player." And I said, "Man, I don't want to start over again." And then our bass player said, "Well, I guess it's the five of us or nothing." Mm. And that quick, within about 1 minute, it was done. And we went home. I remember I was driving home, and Eddie, I was so tired at that point from everything that we'd been doing that I wasn't sad. As a matter of fact, the only thing on my mind when I was driving home was, I want to take a nap. Mm-hmm. And by this point in my life, my faith was not good. I mean, I can't say that it was really bad, but it wasn't good. My foundation was not right. And in the years following, up until probably about a year ago, my faith was still, I think, really in the toilet, so to speak. A part of me being bitter, a part of me was drinking more than I should. Part of me was not wanting to do music at all, but still doing it in a form. I've been writing and recording songs ever since Ben Zephyr broke up, and I love those songs, and I love the people I've been writing with, but even then, not doing Christian music just didn't feel right. And I guess it was about a year ago. I go to a church called Valley Creek. There's a campus in Flower Mound, and there's another campus in Denton. It was about a year ago I tried out for their music program, and so you go through an audition process, and then you get into the swing of learning the songs. And when I went through the audition process, I thought, okay, well, I guess if I get through this, they'll send me a couple songs to learn. And so I got through it, and they sent me an invitation to go to what they called prayer night. I thought, okay, I guess I better take my guitar. Mm-hmm. And I took my guitar, and I went up there, and I said, "Oh, you're not going to need that for probably a month." And so the way that they started it really helped me in a big way, because it was all the new people. We would go into a room, and there would be a person on an acoustic guitar and another person singing, and it was literally just worship for an hour. And it was good for me to worship and be brave about it again. Mm. Because when you're in a Christian band and you're on stage and you're putting your message about Jesus out there, and you're talking between songs about the Lord, you got to be brave about it, and whenever Vine left, or Ben Zephyr, I guess, left the Christian music scene, the bravery for me stopped. And because I knew that wasn't the environment for that. So, and it affected my faith in a big way, but Valley Creek helped me be courageous about it again, I think, is what I'm trying to say. And, it's good for me. And so I've started writing Christian rock songs again.
Very cool.
Just within the last probably 6 months or so.
Well, that's great.
It feels great. It feels wonderful. But it's been a journey.
We're all on a journey, man.
We are.
We all are on a journey. Well, you've said that even after all these years, that somebody will get a hold of your email or message you somehow, and how do I get Vine music? Where do we get this music?
Well, yeah. So, I hadn't heard from anybody about Vine in 10 or 11 years. And last summer, I guess it was last August or September, I'm not sure, but about a year ago, a guy sent me an email and he said, hey, were you the singer for Vine? If so, I've been looking for the music online. I can't find it anywhere. Do you have any ideas? And I got that email from him and I thought, oh, wow, he's asking about Vine songs, but you know what? He's got a point. They're not available anywhere online. Pieces of Time came out in 99. That was before iTunes even existed. Mm-hmm. I mean, that kind of tells you how powerful iTunes has become in the 10 years it's been around. But there was no way to do it.
I wanted to look for you guys on YouTube.
No, there's nothing.
No, nothing?
There's nothing. Nothing. So, his email to me got me thinking that, okay, there's got to be a way to put the music out, because there's nothing wrong with the music and the songs. What's wrong with it is that it's called Vine, right? It's the name. Mm-hmm. So I started thinking, well, there's got to be something I can do. I can release the music under a different name, but if I do that, is anybody going to know what it is? Mm-hmm. I mean, what do I do? And so I'd say the last 12 months or so have been another journey for me, going back and revisiting the Vine stuff, the Vine music, and figuring out how to release it. And I guess we'll probably talk about that here in a little bit.
Let's do that, but let's go ahead and play a song.
Okay.
We have got to play the song. This is the song again, like I said, in 99 and in 2000. This is one of the songs that we played, like I guess somebody told you, they play it all the time. And here's the reason why. Because it was our music director would schedule it as a new song is scheduled. Oh. Uh-huh. But I tell you not, at least my experience, and I was the 3 to 7 host at that time. Mm-hmm. My experience is that we played it more than it was scheduled because so many people would call and say, have you played Tyrant? Have you played Tyrant? No, I'll try and squeeze it in for you toward the end of the hour. And so that's why I think we probably played this song just as much or more than any song at that time. And so it's only appropriate that we got to play this song. This is just going to take me back in time. It's
going to take me back too. I hope I don't start crying.
Memory lane here. Listen to that beginning, that intro. Here you go, old school listeners. And if you're new, listen to this song. This is Tyrant. From the album Pieces of Time, that is Vine with Tyrant on 89.7 Power FM. That is one of the best kept secret songs, because that's got to be one of the most great, wonderful songs of all time.
Thank you.
And though so many people heard it and so many people loved it, it's still one of the best kept secrets, because it just rocks.
Thank you.
It just rocks. You were talking about producing that song, and that you thought, you know what, it's not going to be on the radio.
No.
Let's not make it 3 minutes. Let's just let it last.
No, I remember when Mike and Tom and I were just jamming that in the practice room.
Because I love the drums, that whole last minute.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I remember we were thinking, God, there's all these pieces that we want to put in this song. And, finally we just said, nah, who cares? No one's going to hear it anyway. Let's put this big long ending on it. Let's just do it. And so, voila, there you go. It's a 5-minute song.
Well, it's just, I love the style for me because it's so old school. I mean, the drums are rocking, then the electric guitar comes back in, and like you said, just a little jam session at the end. And that seems to be the style of old school, is where the instruments really shined a lot. Yeah. Although the voice was cool.
Of
it's
course,
so funny to hear, man. It's so funny to hear that voice, because you don't even the new song you played for me, you don't sound like that anymore.
Oh, I know. Yeah. The new song I played for you, I think I've developed as a singer somewhat. But I remember writing the lyrics to Tyrant, and them being very personal for me. And what a lot of people don't know is that I voted that song off the album about just a few weeks before we sent it in for reproduction. I sat down with Mike Haley, our drummer, and I said, I don't think that the song works on the album. And he vetoed my veto of the song. And there you go. The rest is history, so to speak.
Well, it's a good thing he did, because on Facebook here, got a comment from a Spencer Calavan saying, "Tyrant, one of my favorites of all time."
Cool.
So
that's awesome. It was another thing that was surprising for me about.
Wait, let me read this real quick.
Okay.
Joshua Busby says, that was the turning point that brought him out of a dark place.
Wow.
So very cool stuff, man. My Mike from Vine is here in studio with us. We're just reminiscing about the old school days, and the music that has been lost has now been found, kind of like the Wayward Son. And it's available, Mike. You're making it available to the people.
Yeah.
For free.
For free. So, I mentioned a few minutes ago that the issue with putting the music out there is the band name, Vine, right? We can't use that name. I've never done anything to break the agreement that we had with that other band. So, I've renamed the albums as Resurrected Vine. And if you go to resurrectedvine.com, there are links there to download the album for free off of CD Baby and SoundCloud. You can also find us on facebook.com/resurrectedvine. And hopefully that'll do it, right? I think the name Resurrected Vine,
it's great, man.
It speaks, right?
It does.
This is Vine, but coming back. So I hope it translates. I hope that people look it up and go get the music. It is completely free. I don't feel right charging for the music, and so people can go get it right now. It's available,
just so it can live on.
Yeah, just so it can live on, And if people want to take it and email MP3s to friends across the country, by all means do it. I just feel honored and blessed that people like it at all.
Did you have a favorite song?
Do I have a favorite song from that album?
Mm-hmm. Or any of the others?
Well, I think the music from Mad World is really, really cool.
Let me tell you about Jesus.
Yeah. But and that one, that's a 5-minute song too, right? And there's a long musical jam at the end of that one that I think live was always just awesome. But I think lyrically, the song for me off that album really is Tyrant. Just because there was something therapeutic for me about that song at that time in my life, and a lot of people around here picked up on what it was and came and talked to me after shows. They would seek me out and tell me about problems that they're having, and tell them that Tyrant described how they were feeling. And granted, I voted it off the album, but I think I voted it off the album because I was afraid of putting my own feelings out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of goes back to the whole having courage and being brave about where you've been. And, I think, as Christians, it's wonderful to have a Savior that you believe in.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a part of us that doesn't want to call on Him all the time. There's a part of us that wants to say, maybe Jesus would be proud of me if I handled this on my own. And I just don't think that's the intent of Jesus. I think He wants us to call on Him all the time.
Yeah.
He wants us to have Him on our mind every day and every moment with every decision. And I don't think we'll ever get old to Jesus. I think it's a matter of having, you always hear, I have a strong relationship with Jesus, or you got to have a strong relationship. Well, if you have a good, strong relationship with a spouse or a friend or anybody, you probably talk to him every day.
You go.
I talk to my spouse more than once a day,
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it that way, we need to call on Him all the time. We can't call on Him once a week or once a month or whenever just things are going bad or going good. It needs to be constant communication, and I think it's okay to do that. I think that's what He wants.
It's a great word, brother. Man, Mike, I want to thank you so much for being here. Tell us again about Resurrected Vine, how do we find it?
ResurrectedVine.com or Facebook.com/ResurrectedVine. We will be releasing new songs under the name Resurrected Vine. So if you want to be aware of those songs that will be coming out, we'll be announcing them through Facebook.
Okay.
So by all means, find us on Facebook, and I promise we won't post something every time we sneeze. It'll be seldom, but it'll be pointed and important.
Well, thank you so much for being here, brother.
Thanks
It's
for
been a
having
fun
me,
lunch
man.
hour.
Thanks.